The theme of what I will speak about is solid, stable, and soaring. Building a nation anchored in God. Building a nation anchored in God. One of the scriptures of focus that we will use is Isaiah 40, verse 31. It says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." So today, we are now giving focus as to why we celebrate 44 years as citizens of a nation, but also as children of the Most High God. We must also give thanks for the gift of freedom, the gift also of grace that sustains us as a people. So independence is not just merely the absence of a foreign rulership, because it actually, even though we are tag independent, we are still under a foreign rule. For those who understand the hierarchy of the nation and where it sits in the Commonwealth. It is the awakening of national purpose. So even though there's some level of hierarchy and governance over us, we still have the liberation to be able to have some national purpose and focus. It is the moment when a people decide to stand on the foundation of truth, a foundation of righteousness, a divine vision. You may be saying, those things don't sound like Antigua Barbuda, based on the news that we may listen to, or what we may see happening, or what we may hear happening, or what we may see on Facebook. But we're here as natives of this land that has now been able to record 44 years of its independence. We want to say that we can be solid, we can be stable, and that we can continue to soar. But there's a method to how that is done. So it's not just the mere fact of declaration, but it's be able to just go beyond celebrating the tagline and forward on to our destiny. While we forward on to our destiny, we have to first examine what it takes as a nation to rise in strength, to stand in unity, and then to soar. We must soar with some level of purpose. And the purpose that we're going to be soaring with will be under the wings of God's favor. Under the wings of God's favor. We're now going to just grab the three words that the theme for this year would have had as their tagline: solid, stable, and soaring. The first one being solid. A foundation that cannot be shaken is a solid foundation. Matthew 7:24, verse 25 tells us about that. It says, "Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto the wise man which built his house upon a rock." This is Jesus giving the Sermon on the Mount, one of his more popular demonstrations of his ministry. And he's able to say, hey, don't just join the bandwagon of the things that may be appearing to be trending, but make sure your life is built on some level of principle, solid information, stuff that is morally correct and sound in the Word of God. A solid nation is not built on politics. I have to repeat that because some of you may be recording me, and you may have me on Facebook or on TikTok, so let me make sure I say it right, so there's no problem. A solid nation is not built on politics, not built on personalities, not built on possessions. It is built on principles, leading us back to that word solid. So sometimes we have principles or things that we may believe in, things that we may follow that may not be morally sound. So we want to hold on and stand with, agree with the solid foundations of righteousness, solid foundations of truth, solid foundations where justice can prevail, This means that we must return to the moral and spiritual values that uphold a nation. We would have heard from our president, we would have heard in the poem, we would have heard from the former president of this great ABAG association, that the culture of Antigua is rich. Now, this is just a joke I'm going to give, so don't get too... Without the beating that some of us got, probably the same one that works and got, he didn't tell you about it, that straighten him up so that he can soar in this very land that he's now blossoming in. So it's not just about our educational foundation that is strong. There are some other moral things that would have taken place in each and every one of our lives in our home country that would have brought us to the place where we are. Liberalization sometimes come into play and can move some of those things out of our viewpoint. But those were some of the things that would have kept us solid and grounded. I stand today to declare and pray that, Lord, make the nation of Antigua and Barbuda not just solid, but solid in faith, solid in unity, and solid in righteousness. In your name. We go to the next word of focus, stable. Standing firm amid shifting seasons. No one can say if they're able to look at their bank accounts, listen to the news, watch what's happening in the world, even our weather conditions and how drastically they have shifted from what we have been accustomed to, that there's not a lot of stability that we can grab onto. Stability comes, though, when nations are anchored in justice. When families, like the ones you're in, are rooted in godliness and citizens walk in truth and love. So as a believer in God, my role here on earth is to be the salt and the light of the earth. Agent, a diplomat, an ambassador of moral stability, not by what I may say and how deep my voice may sound and the rumble it may give you from this microphone, but from the way that I live. Not just in my home, but amongst my fellow men. And how even from this jurisdiction you may be able to even influence what happens in your homeland. Thirdly, we have the word soaring. Rising to our divine destiny. I was in a conversation yesterday with a gentleman and he started to shout out something that I live by. Yeah, a lot of people, they may do stuff, but they're not fulfilling purpose. I said, yeah, those are the people that don't like to go to work, but they like to collect the pay. Oh man, I don't like this job. It's important. Not that you need to stop working, but make sure you take some time and find out, what is my purpose? Am I fulfilling purpose? Am I fulfilling what God designed me to do in this earth for the years that I'm going to abide in this territory? Make sure you do that sort of reflection when you get some private time and not just get focused on a career and something that you're able to gain some income from. So in conclusion, we want to make sure that we don't just grab onto what may have already taken place, the festivities of celebration that may have happened for the 44th year of our nation's independence, and maybe dressing up in our national dress as some of us are today for the Independence Day and watching the parade on our TV. But it's not just a day to look back, but it's after the 44th year of independence for us to say, what am I going to do as I go forward? So as we stand solid and we stand stable, I need to now grab the wings of soaring and say, I, as an Antiguan and Barbudan, will move forward with my potential, with my giftings, with what I can do, my moral standing, my foundation, and I'm going to soar with the favor of God ahead of me. I pray that you would receive the word of the Lord. May God bless you.